Hey guys, tonight we find ourselves drifting toward a land where the sun is a god and the river is the heartbeat of existence. We are going to spend a very long, very quiet morning in ancient Egypt. You probably believe this obsession with thick, dark eyeliner was merely a fashion statement, a way for pharaohs to look imposing in their tombs. But as the desert heat begins to rise, you will find that those dark lines were a shield, a prayer, and a practical necessity, all wrapped into one slow ritual. Before you get too comfortable and possibly fall asleep halfway through, tap like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this odd mix of boredom and history. It keeps the channel alive and the stories just sleepy enough to help you drift off again next time. Also, I'd love to know where in the world you're listening from tonight and what time it is for you. Is it a rainy midnight or a quiet afternoon? Now, dim the lights, let the world outside grow quiet, and turn on a fan if you like that soft, steady hum in the background. Let your shoulders loosen and your breathing slow. This is your time to drift. No rush, no deadlines, no noise. Just you, a little warmth in the air, and the faint whisper of history waiting to unfold. So, settle in, and let's ease gently into tonight's journey together. The sun has not yet crested the horizon, but the world is already turning a soft, bruised purple. You are lying on a bed of woven papyrus stalks, the frame made of sturdy sycamore wood that feels solid and cool beneath your weight. The linen sheet covering you is thin, translucent, and smells faintly of sun, bleached flax, and the lingering sweetness of blue lotus oil. It is a lightweight, just enough to ward off the slight chill of the desert night that still clings to the corners of the room. You do not move quickly. In this house, in this time, there is no ticking clock, no urgent chime to pull you from your rest. There is only the gradual transition from the velvet shadows of sleep to the golden clarity of the Egyptian morning. You listen to the silence. It is not a hollow silence, but one filled with the tiny, rhythmic sounds of a world waking up. Somewhere outside your mud brick walls, the Nile is flowing, a massive, slow, moving body of water that carries the sediment of a continent. You can almost feel the humidity of the riverbank creeping into the room, a gentle moisture that keeps the air from feeling too brittle. There is the faint rustle of the palm trees as a breeze moves through their fronds, a sound like dry paper sliding against itself. You imagine the dates hanging in heavy clusters, still cool from the night, waiting for the first touch of the sun to begin their slow ripening. Your eyes remain closed for a few moments longer. Behind your eyelids, you see the faint pulsing of the coming light. You think of the sun god, finishing his nightly journey through the underworld, preparing to emerge once more as the triumphant disk of fire. To you, this is not just a change in the weather. It is a cosmic event that happens every single day, a reassurance that the world is still in balance, still following the laws of Maat. You feel a deep sense of order in this. The sun rises, the river floods, the grain grows, and you wake up. Slowly, you sit up. Your feet find the floor, which is made of packed earth, smoothed until it feels like polished stone. It is cool against your soles. You reach for a small ceramic jar on the low table beside your bed. It contains a little bit of water, kept cool by the evaporation through the porous clay. You take a sip, feeling the liquid move slowly down your throat. It is refreshing, a simple baseline for the day. You stand and move toward the window, a rectangular opening high in the wall, designed to let in the light, but keep out the worst of the heat. The sky is now a pale, shimmering gold. This is the moment when the city begins to stir. You can hear the distant, muffled sound of a neighbor's sandals on the dusty street, the rhythmic movement of a wooden door on its pivot, and the far-off call of a waterfowl near the marshes. Everything is slow. Everything is intentional. You look at your hands in the dim light. They are bare, waiting for the transformation that the morning demands. In this culture, leaving the house without your eyes painted would be like leaving without your clothes. It is not about vanity. It is about identity. It is about protection. Historians often speak of how the ancient Egyptians used Kohl as a way to mimic the sun's rays or the eyes of the falcon god, Horus. But you know it is more intimate than that. It is the first barrier you put between yourself and the intensity of the day. You move toward your dressing area. There is no heavy furniture here, just a collection of beautiful, functional objects. You see your bronze mirror, its surface still covered in a soft cloth to prevent the humidity from dulling its shine. You see the various jars of oils, almond, castor, and moringa, each one carefully sealed with a piece of linen and a bit of string, and in the center of it all is your makeup kit. It is a small wooden box, perhaps carved with the image of Bez, the dwarf god who protects the household and presides over personal grooming. He looks back at you with a wide, friendly grin, reminding you that even the smallest acts of self-care are sacred. You begin by washing your face. You use a small basin of water and a piece of natron, a naturally occurring salt that acts as a gentle cleanser. As you rub the water over your skin, you feel the last traces of sleep falling away. The water is cool, but the air is already beginning to warm. You pat your skin dry with a soft cloth, feeling the texture of the linen against your cheeks. Your skin feels tight and clean, a blank canvas for the minerals you are about to apply. There is a mainstream historical fact that many people forget. The eyeliner of Egypt was not just for the wealthy. From the humblest farmer to the highest priest, everyone spent their morning in this exact same way. It was a universal language. But there is a quirkier, more fringe detail that you ponder as you prepare your tools. Some believe that the very shape of the eyeliner, the long, swooping lines that extend toward the temples, was designed to mimic the patterns of a cheetah's face, intended to give the wearer the predatory focus and sharp vision of a great cat. You wonder if, once you apply the black powder, you will feel that same sharpness in your own gaze. As you reach for your grinding stone, you think about the ongoing debates among scholars. Historians still argue whether the primary purpose of the heavy coal was truly to reflect the sun's glare, much like a modern athlete uses eye black, or if it was predominantly a medicinal application designed to keep away the flies that swarm in the heat of the Nile summer. To you, the answer doesn't need to be one or the other. It is the weight of the tradition, the coolness of the mineral, and the connection to the divine that matters most. You pick up a small piece of galena, a lead-based mineral that is heavy and dark. It has a slight metallic sheen, catching the growing light of the room. You place it on your palette, a flat piece of siltstone shaped like a fish. The fish is a symbol of rebirth and fertility, a reminder that every morning is a new beginning. You take your pestle and begin to grind. The sound is a low rhythmic friction. It is a dry, grainy sound that fills the quiet room. You are not in a hurry. You move your hand in steady, circular motions, feeling the resistance of the stone as the solid mineral breaks down into a fine, velvet, soft powder. This is the first step of a process that will take you a significant portion of the morning. You are not just applying makeup, you are preparing a remedy, a prayer, and a mask. The powder begins to accumulate in the center of the palette. It is a deep, impenetrable black. As you grind, you think about the earth from which this stone came. It was mined in the eastern desert, brought by caravan across the burning sands, and traded in the busy markets of the city. It carries with it the heat of the sun and the weight of the mountains. You feel a connection to the landscape as you work, a sense that you are wearing a piece of Egypt itself on your face. You pause for a moment to breathe. The air is now smelling of the morning cooking fires, the scent of baking emmer bread, and the dry smoke of burning palm husks. It is a comforting, domestic smell. You look out the window again. The sun has finally broken over the horizon, and a beam of pure, white light strikes the wall of your room. It illuminates the dust motes dancing in the air, making them look like tiny grains of gold. You watch them for a long time, their slow, swirling movements mirroring the calm state of your mind. There is no need to rush. The day will be long, and the sun will be hot, but for now, there is only the stone, the powder, and the quiet. You reach for a small vial of water to mix with the galena, and you prepare to begin the transformation. The sun has climbed a fraction higher now, casting a long, slanted rectangle of light across your reed mat. You are still seated, your movements slow and deliberate, as you focus your attention back on the small siltstone palette resting in your lap. The fish shape of the stone feels familiar and grounding, its edges smoothed by years of use until they are as soft as silk against your skin. This is the heart of your morning, a period of quiet labor that bridges the gap between the vulnerability of sleep and the readiness of the day. You pick up the small, rounded pebble you use as a pestle. It is a dark, heavy stone, polished by the friction of 1,000 mornings. You begin to grind the malachite. This is the second pigment of your ritual, a vibrant, grassy green that looks like the life-giving plants growing along the river's edge. Unlike the heavy, metallic galena you prepared moments ago, the malachite feels different under the stone. It is slightly more brittle, breaking apart with a crisp, dry resistance that you can feel vibrating up through your fingers and into your wrist. You press down, moving the pestle in a slow, clockwise circle. The sound is a rhythmic, low-frequency whisper, a grainy melody that seems to sync with the steady beat of your heart. As the green stone collapses into a fine, emerald dust, you notice how the light catches the tiny crystalline structures. For a moment, it sparkles, a miniature galaxy of green light before being crushed into a dull, matte powder. You take your time. There is no reason to hurry. In your world, the quality of your Kohl is a reflection of your patience and your devotion to the gods who demand beauty and order. A mainstream historical fact often shared is that green eye paint, made from this very copper ore, was actually more common in the earlier periods of your history, particularly the Old Kingdom, before the deep black of galena became the dominant fashion. You find the green soothing. It reminds you of the cooling shade of the papyrus thickets, where the air is thick with the scent of damp earth and hidden water. You reach for a small, carved spoon made of bone. It is tiny, no larger than a fingernail, and you use it to carefully push the green powder into a separate pile on your palette. Now, you must decide on the binder. You have a small jar of goose fat, rendered until it is clear and odorless, and another vial of moringa oil, which has a faint, nutty aroma that reminds you of the high summer harvest. Today you choose the oil. You tip the vial ever so slightly, watching as a single, golden drop hangs at the rim, shivering with the vibration of the city waking up outside. Before it finally falls into the center of the powder, the mixing is perhaps the most satisfying part of the process. You use a small bronze spatula to fold the oil into the mineral dust. At first, it looks like a mess of dark clumps, but as you continue to work it, the texture changes. It becomes a thick, glossy paste, rich and heavy. It looks like the fertile mud left behind by the Nile after the inundation. The black land that gives your country its name. You spend several minutes just folding the paste over itself, ensuring there are no grains of uncrushed stone left. You want it to be as smooth as the surface of a still pond. While you work the paste, you think about the strange properties of this mixture. There is a quirky, fringe tidbit that modern people might find hard to believe. While lead is something they fear, you find that this lead-based coal actually makes your eyes feel healthier. Historians still argue whether the ancient Egyptians consciously understood the chemistry, but the lead salts in the galena actually stimulate the production of nitric oxide in your skin. This tiny chemical boost helps your immune system fight off the bacteria that thrive in the heat and the dust. When you wear this paint, you aren't just looking like a god. You are creating a microscopic shield against the eye infections that plague those who go unprotected. You feel a sense of quiet satisfaction, knowing that your beauty ritual is also a form of medicine. You lean back for a moment, letting your arms rest. The room is getting warmer, but it is a pleasant, dry heat. You can smell the dust in the air now, a scent that is uniquely Egyptian, a mix of parched earth, ancient stone, and the distant, sweet rot of the river. You watch a small beetle crawl across the floor near the doorway. It moves with a frantic, jerky energy that seems out of place in your quiet room. You wonder where it is going and what urgent business a beetle could possibly have at this hour. You find yourself smiling at its tiny, determined legs. You return to your palette. You have the black paste and the green paste ready. Now you must prepare the applicator. You pick up a slender rod made of ebony. It is thin and tapered at both ends, polished until it gleams like a piece of dark glass. You run your thumb over the tip, feeling for any imperfections. It must be perfectly smooth, for the skin around your eyes is delicate, as thin as the petals of a desert rose. As you prepare to apply the first stroke, you think about the endless debates that occupy the minds of the temple scholars. Historians still argue whether the specific animal shapes of the palettes, like the tilapia fish you hold or the occasional turtle or bird shapes found in other households, were chosen to invoke specific protective deities or simply because they provided a comfortable, ergonomic grip for the hand during the long grinding process. To you, the fish is a symbol of the river, of the life that comes from the water, and it feels right in your hand. Whether it is magic or simply good design, it works. You take a deep breath, letting the air fill your lungs, and then slowly escaping in a long, silent sigh. You feel the tension leaving your neck and shoulders. The world outside is growing louder. You can hear the rhythmic thud of a laundryman beating cloth against a stone at the river's edge, and the high, melodic chatter of children playing in the alleyway. But in here, in this small space carved out of the morning, there is only the palette, the rod, and the quiet. You dip the ebony rod into the black paste. You don't take too much, just enough to coat the tip in a thick, dark layer. You hold your bronze mirror up, catching the light. Your reflection is still soft and blurred in the dimness, your eyes looking pale and unprotected. You feel a small thrill of anticipation. This is the moment where you begin to define yourself for the day. You are not just a person waking up. You are a participant in a culture that spans thousands of years, a culture that values the line, the form, and the deliberate act of creation. You think about the miners who spent months in the sun, scorched hills to find the galena, the traders who bargained for the malachite in the busy stalls of the marketplace, and the craftsmen who shaped your ebony rod and your siltstone palette. All of their labor, all of their history, has led to this single moment in your morning. You feel a weight of gratitude for the interconnectedness of your world. Every object you touch has a story, a journey, and a purpose. You bring the rod toward your eye. The tip is cool, a sharp contrast to the warmth of your skin. You move with the confidence of someone who has done this every day of their life. You start at the inner corner, near the bridge of your nose, and begin to draw a line along the lower lid. You don't rush. You follow the natural curve of your eye, feeling the slight drag of the thick paste against your skin. It is a grounding sensation, a physical reminder of your own presence in the world. The line is dark and bold. As you draw it, you feel a coolness spreading across your eyelid. It is the moisture in the paste evaporating, leaving behind a protective layer. You imagine the line as a barrier, a magical circle that keeps out the glare of the sun and the wandering spirits of the desert. You complete the line, extending it slightly past the outer corner of your eye, toward your temple. This flick, as modern people might call it, is for you a way of mimicking the sharp, focused gaze of the hawk, the bird of the sun. You pause to look at the result. Even with only one line finished, the difference is striking. That eye now looks larger, more alert, and more defined. It is as if you are slowly coming into focus, like a landscape emerging from a morning mist. You take a moment to appreciate the symmetry you are aiming for, the balance that is the core of all Egyptian art. You dip the rod back into the paste, ready to repeat the process on the other side. The sounds of the morning are becoming a steady hum, now a background noise that you can choose to ignore or embrace. You choose to let it wash over you, a gentle reminder that life is moving on outside your walls while you remain here in your sanctuary of stone and pigment. You feel a deep sense of peace. This is your time. This is your ritual. This is the way it has always been, and the way it will always be, as long as the Nile flows and the sun rises over the eastern cliffs. You find yourself thinking about the sheer amount of time you spend on this. Some might call it a waste, but to you, it is a form of meditation. Every circle of the pestle, every drop of oil, Every stroke of the rod is a way of honoring the life you have been given. It is a way of saying that you are worth the effort. That beauty is a form of respect for the gods and for yourself. You continue, your movements fluid and slow, as the room fills with the golden light of a brand new Egyptian day. The sun is no longer a gentle suggestion on the horizon. It has become a firm presence, climbing steadily into the vast, unclouded blue of the Egyptian sky. From your position in the cool, dim interior of your home, you can see the light intensifying outside the high, narrow window. It strikes the white, plastered walls of the houses across the way, turning them into shimmering mirrors that vibrate with heat. But here, inside the thick mud brick walls, the air remains heavy and still, smelling of the damp earth used to construct your sanctuary. You pick up your bronze mirror again, tilting it to catch the golden beam that slices through the room. Your first eye is finished, a bold statement of black and green, and now you prepare to bring balance to your face. You dip the ebony rod back into the dark, thick paste of the galena. As you hold the tip near your second eye, you feel the radiating warmth of the sun beginning to touch the back of your neck. It is a reminder of why you are being so meticulous. In this land, the sun is both a creator and a destroyer. It brings life to the crops, but its glare can be blinding, a physical weight that presses against your brow. You begin the first stroke on your upper eyelid, moving from the center toward the outer edge. The paste is thick, almost like a second skin, and as it settles, you feel an immediate sensation of relief, a mainstream historical fact that resonates with many modern observers is that this heavy application of dark pigment served a very practical, almost industrial purpose. Much like a modern athlete smears black grease under their eyes to reduce the blinding glare of stadium lights, you are painting a shadow onto your own face. The dark kohl absorbs the scattering rays of the sun, preventing the light from bouncing off your cheekbones and into your eyes. It is a functional shade, a way to keep your vision clear and sharp as you navigate the bright, white-sanded streets of the city. Without it, the world would be a blur of painful brilliance. With it, the details of the world remain crisp and manageable. You move the rod slowly, layering the pigment to ensure it is deep and opaque. You are not just drawing a thin line, you are creating a substantial barrier. You think about the composition of the kohl. Beyond the galena and the malachite, you have added a tiny amount of charred frankincense to the mix. This is a quirkier, more fringed tidbit that you find particularly comforting. Some believe that the scent of the burnt resin, held so close to the face, acts as a constant, subtle incense offering to the gods with every breath you take. It is as if you are walking in a personal cloud of sanctity, the faint, woody aroma of the temple following you through the mundane tasks of the day. It turns the act of seeing into an act of worship. The room is very quiet, save for the distant, muffled sounds of the neighborhood. You hear the rhythmic, hollow sound of a wooden mallet striking a tent peg somewhere down the street, and the occasional splash of water as a servant pours a jar into a garden plot. These sounds feel far away, separated from you by the intensity of your focus. You are in a state of flow where the only thing that matters is the symmetry of the lines and the smoothness of the paste. You look into the mirror, checking the angle of the flick at the corner of your eye. It must match the other side perfectly. As you work, you ponder the open scholarly debates that seem to never reach a conclusion. Historians still argue whether the characteristic long extension of the eyeliner, the sweeping line that reaches toward the ear, was a purely aesthetic choice to elongate the eye, or if it served a more ingenious, physical purpose. Some suggest that these lines were designed to act as channels for sweat. In the sweltering heat of the midday sun, perspiration would follow the path of the heavy oil-based paint, being directed away from the eye and down the side of the face, preventing the salt and sting from blurring your vision. To you, the idea seems perfectly logical. In Egypt, beauty and utility are never truly separate. They are two sides of the same golden coin. You add a bit more of the green malachite paste to the lower lid, blending it slightly with the black. The green is the color of the wajah, the great green, a term you use for the lush vegetation of the delta and the sea beyond. It represents life, growth, and the eternal cycle of the river. By placing this color beneath your eyes, you are literally looking through the lens of life. It makes the world seem cooler, as if you are standing in the shadow of a great sycamore tree. Even when you are out in the open sun, you feel the weight of the makeup on your lids. It is a comforting weight, like a heavy blanket on a cool night. It anchors you. You move your head from side to side, watching how the light plays off the metallic sheen of the galena. It has a slight, silvery luster that makes your eyes look like they are rimmed with polished lead. It gives you a look of intense gravity, a seriousness that commands respect. In your society, to be unpainted is to be unfinished, perhaps even a bit wild or uncivilized. The makeup is your uniform, your social skin, and your spiritual armor. You think about the different types of Kohl containers you have seen in the market. Some are made of simple blue glass, shaped like small, elegant jars. Others are carved from alabaster, so thin that the light shines through the stone like a clouded sky. Your own container is a simple, sturdy pot, but it is dear to you. It has been your companion through many mornings, a witness to your transition from the softness of sleep to the readiness of the day. You place the lid back on the jar, the sound of the stone meeting stone, a sharp, clean click in the silence. The sun has moved again, and now the beam of light has reached your feet. You look down at your toes, which are bare and clean against the earth. You will soon put on your sandals, woven from sturdy papyrus, but for now you enjoy the contact with the cool floor. You feel a sense of immense luck to live in a world where such beauty is accessible, where the minerals of the earth can be transformed into a shield for the soul. You take a small, clean cloth and gently dab at the corner of your eye, removing a tiny speck of stray powder. Your movements are graceful, honed by years of repetition. You are not in a hurry to leave this room. The transition from the private world to the public world is a delicate one, and you want to ensure it is handled with care. You look into the mirror one last time. The two eyes are now identical, two dark, stylized suns staring back at you. The transformation is nearly complete. You spend a few minutes just sitting in the stillness. You listen to your own breathing, slow, steady, and deep. With every exhale, you feel a little more relaxed, a little more prepared. The heat outside no longer feels like a threat. It feels like an invitation. You have your shield. You have your prayer. You have your identity. You think about the people who will see you today. the baker, the scribe, the water carrier. They will all be wearing their own versions of this mask. You will look into their eyes and see the same dark lines, the same green shadows. It is a shared language, a way of acknowledging that you are all children of the same sun, all protected by the same ancient rituals. It creates a sense of community that is as thick and enduring as the Kohl itself. There is a certain irony in the fact that you spend so much of your morning preparing for the sun, only to spend the rest of the day seeking out the shade. But that is the nature of life in the Nile Valley. You respect the power of the light, and so you prepare for it with the same intensity that you prepare for a feast or a funeral. Nothing is done halfway. Every line is intentional. Every color is significant. You stand up slowly, feeling the strength in your legs. The linen of your tunic rustles softly, a sound like the wind in the tall grass. You reach for a small bottle of scented oil, perhaps lily or iris, and rub a single drop into your palms. You press your hands to your face, breathing in the floral sweetness. It mingles with the scent of the coal and the dry air of the house. It is the smell of a brand new day, full of possibility and grounded in tradition. You walk toward the doorway, your shadow stretching long and thin across the floor. You pause at the threshold, looking out at the world. The glare is intense, the white light of the desert washing over everything. But as you step out, you don't flinch. You don't squint. Your eyes, protected by their dark, heavy frames, remain wide and calm. You are ready to face the heat, the dust, and the brilliance of Egypt. You are ready to be seen. You remain for a moment longer in the soft, amber-hued sanctuary of your dressing area. The heavy application of kohl is cooling against your skin, a physical sensation that seems to lower the temperature of your entire face. You are now looking at yourself through the eyes of a tradition that is as old as the mountains that hem in the Nile Valley. You turn your attention toward the corner of the room where a small, carved wooden shrine sits upon a pedestal of limestone. This is the heart of your home's spiritual life, a place where the boundaries between your mundane morning and the eternal realm of the gods become thin and translucent. As you step toward the shrine, the movement of your linen tunic creates a tiny, rhythmic breeze that stirs the dust motes in the air. You look at the small figurine of the falcon, headed god Horus, whose eyes are the sun and the moon. Your own eyes, now rimmed with the deep, dark lines of galena, are a deliberate mirror of his. A mainstream historical fact that every child in Egypt knows is that the ujat, or the eye of Horus, is the ultimate symbol of protection and restoration. When you apply your eyeliner with such care, you are not just preparing for a day of work. You are performing a ritual of making whole. You are recreating the eye of the god that was once shattered in his epic battle with Set, and then miraculously healed by the god of wisdom, Thoth. To wear kohl is to wear a piece of that healing, a constant reminder that no matter what is broken, it can be mended. You reach out and touch the edge of the shrine. The wood is old and smooth, having absorbed the oils of many offerings over many years. It has a faint, lingering scent of cedar and myrrh. You think about the great temples that rise like stone forests along the banks of the Nile. At this very moment, high priests in the inner sanctums are performing the opening of the mouth and the daily offering rituals. There is a quirky, fringe tidbit that you find particularly fascinating in the deepest parts of those temples. The massive stone statues of the gods themselves are treated exactly as you treat yourself. Every morning, the priests wash the statues, clothe them in fresh linen, and carefully apply kohl to their stone eyes. You find comfort in the thought that your personal vanity is mirrored by the divine. If a god requires eyeliner to feel ready for the day, then surely you are right to spend your entire morning perfecting your own. The light in the room is shifting, moving from a pale yellow to a more assertive, brilliant white. It catches the edges of the shrine, highlighting the intricate carvings of protective spells and lotus blossoms. You find yourself pondering the open scholarly debates that swirl around the history of your people like the desert winds. Historians still argue whether the specific length and thickness of the kohl lines were mandated by a person's social standing, or if they were purely a matter of personal religious devotion. Some believe that a scribe might wear a shorter, more practical line, while a priestess would extend hers nearly to the hairline to signify her proximity to the divine. In your heart, you feel it is both. The line is a bridge between who you are and who you wish to be in the eyes of the heavens. You take a small pinch of dried petals from a bowl near the shrine and drop them into a tiny brazier. There is no fire now, just the lingering warmth from the night before. But the scent of the dried flowers, jasmine and blue lotus, is released by the touch. The aroma is thin and sweet, drifting upward in a lazy, invisible curl. It mingles with the metallic, earthy smell of the kohl on your face. You close your eyes for a second, feeling the weight of the makeup. It feels like a mask, but not one that hides you. It is a mask that reveals your true nature as a being of order, a person who respects the laws of Maat. You think about the jat. Eye again, the way its stylized lines mimic the markings of a lanner falcon. The long, tear line that drops from the inner corner of the eye, and the sweeping curve that moves back toward the ear, are more than just patterns. They are a geometry of power. You imagine the falcon soaring high above the river, its vision so sharp it can see a silver fish through the murky depths of the water. By painting these lines on your own face, you are inviting that same clarity into your life. You are asking for the ability to see through the illusions of the world, to find the truth in every situation, and to remain focused on the path that has been laid out for you by the stars. The silence of the house is deep and resonant. You can hear the faint, dry sound of a lizard skittering across the exterior wall, its tiny claws clicking against the mud brick. It is a small sound, but in this quietude, it feels significant. You realize that you have been standing still for several minutes, lost in the contemplation of the gods. This is why the morning lasts so long. It is not just the physical labor of grinding the stones or the precision of the application. It is the mental preparation. It is the slowing down of the soul until it matches the pace of the rising sun. There is no dialogue in this ritual. You do not speak to the gods with words, but with your actions. The way you hold the applicator, the way you tilt your head to check the symmetry in the mirror, the way you breathe. All of this is a conversation. You are saying, I am here, I am prepared, I am in harmony with the world. You feel a sense of profound stillness, a cozy warmth that has nothing to do with the temperature of the air and everything to do with the certainty of your place in the universe. You look down at your palette one last time. The green and black pastes are beginning to dry slightly at the edges, losing their glossy sheen and becoming matte and solid. They look like the earth after a rain, rich, deep, and full of potential. You think about the earth itself, the black silt of the Nile, that is the source of all life in your world. Your eyeliner is literally a piece of that earth, refined and purified, and placed upon your skin as a blessing. As you prepare to move away from the shrine, you notice how the shadows in the room have shortened. The day is progressing, even as you remain suspended in your morning rhythm. You don't feel the need to rush. The concept of all morning is not a burden, it is a gift. It is the time you have claimed for yourself before the demands of the city and the heat of the fields take over. You are the master of this hour. You find yourself thinking about the animals that are sacred to the gods. You recall a quirky detail from a visiting merchant who spoke of the temple of Bastet, where the sacred cats are sometimes given a touch of kohl around their golden eyes to honor their protective nature. You imagine the grace of the cat, the way it moves with silent, liquid precision through the shadows. You try to emulate that grace as you turn back toward your mirror. Your movements are slow, intentional, and fluid. The debate among the learned men of the House of Life continues to echo in your mind. Historians still argue whether the kohl was primarily intended to evoke the terrible and beautiful gaze of the goddess Hathor, whose eyes could both entrance and destroy. To look upon someone with painted eyes is to project a certain power, a certain hika, or magic. You feel that power now. You feel as though your gaze has a weight to it, a presence that was not there when you first woke up. You reach for a small piece of polished carnelian, a stone as red as the setting sun, and press it briefly to your forehead. It is cool and smooth, a final grounding touch before you complete your transformation. You are almost ready. The spiritual work is done. The physical shield is in place, and the morning is unfolding exactly as it should. The Nile continues its slow, eternal journey toward the sea, and you continue your journey through the day, protected and guided by the gaze of the gods that you have so carefully recreated on your own face. The air in your room is now noticeably warmer, a thick, still heat that seems to hold the scent of the morning more closely than the cool air of dawn. You have completed the first few layers of your protection, but the ritual is far from over. You reach for a small, shallow bowl made of blue, glazed faience. It is a bright, cheerful color, the color of the sky at noon, but inside it holds something dark and velvet, soft. This is the suit, the orju, that you have spent the last hour collecting from the underside of a small ceramic lamp. You used a wick of twisted linen soaked in castor oil, and as the flame licked the clay, it deposited a layer of carbon so fine it feels like nothing at all between your fingertips. You begin the slow process of incorporating this organic blackness into your mineral mix. There is a mainstream historical fact that many people overlook when thinking about your beauty routine. While the heavy minerals like galena provided the base, the finest kohl often used organic matter, specifically burnt almond shells and soot, to achieve a deeper, more matte finish. The minerals provide the protection, but the soot provides the soul of the color. You take a few charred almond shells from a small linen pouch. They are light, almost weightless, and they carry a lingering, toasted aroma that is both sweet and smoky. It is a comforting scent, one that reminds you of the small cakes sold in the market or the warmth of a family hearth. You place the shells on a separate, smaller grinding stone. You do not need much pressure here. The charred wood of the almond shell yields easily, crumbling into a powder that is even darker than the galena. As you move the stone, you feel the lightness of the material. It doesn't have the gritty, metallic resistance of the lead ore. It is airy and soft. You spend a long time just watching the shells turn to dust. You are in no hurry. The sun will continue its slow arc across the sky, whether you finish in 10 minutes or 2 hours. So you choose the 2 hours. You choose the patience of the desert. There is a quirky, fringe tidbit that you ponder as you stir the almond dust into your palate. Some of the older women in the village whisper that adding a tiny, microscopic amount of a very specific type of dried beetle wing to the suit can give the eyeliner a subtle, iridescent shimmer, a way to catch the light and make the eyes appear as though they are glowing from within. You haven't tried this yourself. It seems like a lot of work for a shimmer that only a god might notice. But you like the idea that there are hidden secrets in every jar of paint. It makes the world feel more mysterious, more layered. You begin to mix the suit and the almond dust with a fresh drop of moringa oil. This is the chemistry of the morning. You are looking for a very specific viscosity. If it is too thin, it will run down your face in the midday heat, leaving dark streaks like tears of ink. If it is too thick, it will clump and pull at your skin, making your eyelids feel heavy and tired. You stir with a small wooden stick, moving in slow, rhythmic circles. You watch as the oil slowly saturates the powder, turning it from a dry, dusty heap into a rich, decadent cream. It looks like melted chocolate, or the deep, dark shadows beneath the palm trees. Historians still argue whether the presence of lead in your makeup was a deliberate, sophisticated attempt at creating a slow-release antibacterial agent, or if it was simply a fortunate accident of the materials you had available. They wonder if your ancestors understood that by applying these minerals every day, you were creating a chemical reaction on your skin that produced small amounts of hydrogen peroxide, which kept your eyes free from the infections that often come with the desert dust. To you, it doesn't matter if it was a discovery or a gift from Thoth. You only know that it works. You know that when you wear this paste, your eyes feel cool, your vision feels sharp, and the stinging flies stay away. The mixing continues. You find yourself mesmerized by the way the light reflects off the surface of the paste. It is a deep, endless black, a color that seems to swallow the light rather than reflect it. You think about the night sky, the nut, that arches over the world, her body filled with stars. You are putting a piece of that night onto your face to protect you from the day. It is a beautiful irony that you find deeply satisfying. You take your ebony rod and dip it into this new, darker mixture. This is for the tight lining, the very edge of the eyelid where the lashes grow. You move with extreme care. This part of the ritual requires the most steady hand. You rest your elbow on your knee, anchoring yourself against the floor. You breathe in slowly through your nose, hold it for a heartbeat, and then exhale as you draw the line. The sensation is cool and wet, a sharp contrast to the dry heat of the room. You can feel the oil in the paste sinking into your skin, softening it, protecting it. As you work, you think about the concept of time. In the cities of the future, people might rush through their mornings, splashing water on their faces and running out the door. But here, the morning is the main event. It is a time of construction. You are building the person you will be for the rest of the day. You are not just getting ready. You are manifesting your identity. Every layer of soot and almond dust is a layer of intention. You are choosing to be beautiful. You are choosing to be protected. You are choosing to be part of the order of Egypt. You look into your bronze mirror. The reflection is clearer, now as the sun climbs higher, the light bouncing off the white walls and filling the room with a brilliant, diffused glow. You can see the texture of the kohl, the way it settles into the fine lines of your skin. It looks powerful. It looks ancient. You add a little more to the outer corners, extending the wing just a fraction more. You are not looking for perfection in the way a machine might. You are looking for the perfection of a handmade thing, something that carries the thumbprint of the Creator. The room is silent, but it is a thick silence, filled with the presence of your ancestors and the weight of the tradition you are carrying forward. You imagine your grandmother sitting in this same spot, using the same type of siltstone palette, grinding the same charred almonds. You feel a sense of continuity that is incredibly grounding. You are a single link in a golden chain that stretches back to the beginning of time. This morning ritual is your way of holding onto that chain, of making sure it never breaks. You find yourself smiling slightly as you finish the second eye. You look like a falcon. You look like a cat. You look like a god. And yet, you are still just you, sitting on a reed mat in a mud brick house, enjoying the quiet before the world demands your attention. You take a moment to appreciate the boring parts of the process, the endless stirring, the slow grinding, the careful dabbing. These are the parts that most people would find tedious, but for you, they are the most peaceful. They are the parts where your mind can wander, where you can think about the river, the stars, and the sweet smell of the desert after a rare rain. You set the ebony rod down on the edge of the palette. Your hands are stained with a little bit of the black soot, and you rub your fingers together, feeling the silkiness of the oil. It feels good. It feels like wealth. Not the wealth of gold and silver, but the wealth of time and resources. You have everything you need right here in this small room. The chemistry of the soot and the almonds is complete. The minerals have been laid down, the organic depth has been added, and the protection is set. You are nearly ready to step out into the world, but there is still the matter of the final polish, the last check in the mirror, and the quiet moment of gratitude before you leave your sanctuary. You close your eyes for a second, letting the weight of the kohl settle. You feel the coolness of it, the shield-like quality of it. You are ready for the sun. You are ready for the gaze of others. You are ready for the day. The morning is now fully awake, and the light in your room has transitioned from the soft gold of dawn to a brilliant, uncompromising white. You reach for the final tool in your ritual, your bronze mirror. It is a heavy, circular disc, cast from a mixture of copper and tin, and it feels cold and substantial in your hand. The handle is carved in the shape of a slender papyrus stalk, crowned with the face of the goddess Hathor. her cow ears a symbol of her nurturing, maternal power. You hold the mirror up, catching the reflection of the light, and for a moment the room is filled with dancing, golden spots as the sun bounces off the polished surface. You hold the mirror close to your face. In this world, a mirror is not just a tool for vanity. It is a sacred object, a mainstream historical fact that you understand deeply is that the Egyptian word for mirror is ankh, the same word used for life. To look into a mirror is to look at the essence of life itself, a reflection of the breath that moves through you. You tilt the disc, observing how your features emerge from the slightly warm, yellowish tint of the bronze. The metal has been polished with fine sand and oil until it is as smooth as the surface of a still pond, yet it lacks the harsh, clinical clarity of modern glass. It gives your skin a healthy, sun-kissed glow, making everyone appear as though they are bathed in an eternal sunset. You begin the final inspection of your work. You lean in, checking the symmetry of the thick, dark lines. The kohl is now setting, the oils soaking into your skin, and the minerals forming a matty, velvety crust. You look at the flick at the corner of your left eye, then the right. They are balanced like the wings of a swallow in flight. You use a small, clean linen cloth to gently buff away a tiny smudge near your temple. Every movement is slow, your breath coming in a steady, rhythmic pattern that fogs the surface of the metal ever so slightly. You wipe the mist away with your thumb, the warmth of your skin leaving a faint trail on the cool bronze. There is a quirky, fringed tidbit that you have heard from the wise women in the marketplace. Some believe that the mirror doesn't just show your face, but that it actually captures a small piece of your ka, or your soul, every time you look into it. Because of this, mirrors are often buried with their owners, so that in the afterlife, the soul can always find its way back to its reflection. You look into your own eyes, now framed by the deep black suit and the green malachite, and you wonder if there is a version of you living inside the bronze, watching you back with the same calm, painted intensity. It is a thought that doesn't frighten you, it comforts you. It means you are never truly alone. You find yourself pondering one of the open scholarly debates that often occupies the priests at the House of Life. Historians still argue whether the characteristic yellow, gold reflection of the bronze mirror was considered a limitation of the technology, or if it was a deliberate choice. Some argue that the Egyptians preferred the yellow tint because it mirrored the golden skin of the gods, effectively divinizing the person looking into it. When you look at your reflection, you don't see the imperfections of your skin. You see a version of yourself that is radiant and idealized. To you, the mirror is not a lie, it is a higher truth. It shows you as you are meant to be, ordered, beautiful, and in harmony with Ma'at. You spend several minutes just gazing at the reflection of your eyes. The kohl makes the whites of your eyes appear startlingly bright, a sharp contrast against the dark pigments. It gives your gaze a weight, a presence that feels almost physical. You think about the Eye of Ra, the fiery goddess who protects the sun and destroys his enemies. By framing your eyes in this way, you are inviting her protection. You are saying that your gaze is not to be trifled with. You are projecting a quiet strength that will carry you through the challenges of the afternoon heat. The heat is indeed rising now. You can feel it pressing against the exterior walls of the house, a silent, invisible force. But the bronze in your hand remains cool. You press the back of the mirror against your cheek for a moment, enjoying the thermal contrast. It feels like a piece of the night that you have managed to hold on to. You look at the carvings on the handle, the intricate details of the lotus buds, and the gentle curve of Hatha's smile. You feel a sense of profound gratitude for the craftsmen who made this object. Their labor allows you to see yourself, to understand your own form, and to perfect your presentation to the world. You realize that this morning has been a long, slow journey of self-creation. You started as a soft, unformed thing, emerging from the shadows of sleep, through the grinding of stones, the mixing of oils, the dabbing of soot, and now the inspection in the mirror. You have hardened into a person of substance. You have built a mask that is also a shield. You have performed a ritual that is also a medicine. You have spent your morning not in a rush to get somewhere else, but in the deliberate act of being exactly where you are. You set the mirror down on the low table. It makes a soft, dull thud against the wood, a sound that signals the near end of your preparation. You look at your hands. They are steady. You look at your palette. It is nearly empty, the remaining traces of kohl already drying into the stone. You feel a sense of completion. There is nothing more to add, nothing more to adjust. You are finished. You sit for a moment longer, letting your hands rest in your lap. You listen to the hum of the city. It is louder now. The braying of a donkey, the rhythmic call of a street vendor, the distant splash of a boatman's oar in the Nile. These sounds don't feel intrusive. They feel like the music of a living world, a world that is waiting for you to join it. You are no longer an observer of the morning. You are a participant in the day. You think about the thousands of other people in this city who are doing exactly what you just did. In every house, from the mud, brick dwellings of the workers to the limestone palaces of the nobles, people are putting down their mirrors and standing up to face the sun. You are all connected by this single, aesthetic bond. You are a nation of painted eyes, a civilization that stares back at the sun with a gaze as dark and enduring as the earth itself. The silence in your room is now a satisfied silence. You feel the weight of the kohl on your lids, a physical reminder of your own effort. It is a good weight. It is the weight of identity. You close your eyes one last time, feeling the cool, protective layer. You imagine the light of the sun hitting your face, and you know that you are ready. You are protected. You are beautiful. You are Egyptian. The ritual of the morning has reached its natural conclusion. You stand up slowly from your reed mat, feeling the blood flow back into your legs and the strength returning to your frame. Your transformation is complete. As you walk toward the threshold of your home, you are no longer the soft, vulnerable sleeper of dawn. You are a person of the sun, defined by the sharp, protective lines of the kohl and the deep, meaningful colors of the earth. The air at the doorway is different. It is no longer the still, cool air of the interior, but a moving, living heat that carries the breath of the Nile. You step out onto the street, and for a moment, the world is a wash of pure, blinding white. The limestone dust of the road reflects the light with an intensity that would be unbearable for unprotected eyes. But as you blink, you feel the immediate effect of your long morning's work. The heavy, Dark kohl around your eyes acts like a cooling shade. You do not have to squint. Your pupils remain relaxed, and the glare is absorbed by the thick, matte suit and the metallic galena. You can see the world in high definition. The texture of the mud, brick walls, the individual fronds of the palm trees, and the shimmering surface of the river in the distance. A mainstream historical fact that you notice as you walk is the incredible uniformity of the people around you. Every person you pass, the fisherman carrying his net, the weaver sitting in the shade of a porch, even the children playing in the dust, is wearing some version of the same eye paint. It is the great social equalizer of Egypt. While one person's jewelry might be made of gold and another's of simple clay, the kohl is universal. It creates a shared visual language that binds the city together. You look into the eyes of a stranger, and you see the same dark wings, the same green shadows. There is a silent acknowledgement in that gaze, a recognition that you both belong to the same ordered world. As you navigate the narrow, winding streets, you find yourself thinking about a quirky, fringed tidbit you heard from a traveler from the lands to the north. They spoke of people who find your painted faces strange, even frightening, as if you are all wearing the masks of statues. You find this amusing. To you, a face without paint is the one that looks strange. It looks unfinished, exposed, and somehow less than human. To be unpainted is to be a creature of the wild, someone who has not yet been brought into the harmony of Ma'at. You feel sorry for those who walk under the sun without the protection of the gods on their faces. The sounds of the city are a thick, rhythmic tapestry. You hear the slap, slap of wet laundry against the rocks at the riverbank, the high, pitched clink of a metalworker's hammer, and the low, melodic chanting of a priest from a nearby shrine. Everything feels synchronized. You walk with a slow, steady gait, your papyrus sandals making a soft, dry hiss against the ground. You are not in a rush. In Egypt, time moves like the river, massive, inevitable, and impossible to hurry. You simply move with the current. Historians still argue whether the extreme length of the eyeliner in your era was a response to a period of particularly intense dust storms, or if it was an aesthetic evolution driven by the changing fashions of the royal court. Some believe that during the Middle Kingdom, a specific pharaoh favored a more dramatic, elongated eye, and the entire nation followed suit to show their loyalty. To you, the reason matters less than the feeling. The long line that reaches toward your temple makes you feel more alert, more extended, as if your senses reach further into the world than they did before. It is a physical expansion of your being. You reach the edge of the market, where the scent of the city changes. Now, the air is thick with the smell of roasting chickpeas, fresh garlic, and the heavy, sweet perfume of incense being sold in small, conical heaps. You pass a stall selling minerals and oils, the very ingredients you spent your morning preparing. You see the raw chunks of galena, the vibrant green malachite, and the jars of castor oil. You feel a sense of pride, knowing that you have the skill to transform these raw elements of the earth into the sophisticated shield you are currently wearing. It is a form of everyday alchemy that every Egyptian masters. The sun is now at its zenith, hanging like a golden shield directly overhead. The shadows have retreated, huddling beneath the feet of buildings and trees. It is the hottest part of the day, the time when the Sekhmet. Heat is at its most potent. You feel the warmth on your shoulders and the top of your head, but your face remains curiously cool. The oil-based Kohl doesn't run or smudge. It stays firm, a constant barrier against the environmental assault. You find a spot in the deep shade of a sycamore, fig tree, and sit for a moment, letting the world go by. You watch the way the light filters through the leaves, creating a mosaic of shifting gold and shadow on the ground. You think about the cycle of the day, how you will return home in the evening, wash the kohl from your face with oil and natron, and prepare for the restorative darkness of sleep. And then, tomorrow, when the sun god Ra emerges once more from the underworld, you will begin the ritual all over again. The grinding, the mixing, the dabbing, the gazing. It is not a chore. It is the heartbeat of your life. It is the way you tell the world and yourself that you are here, that you are safe, and that you are beautiful. The rhythm of the city begins to slow down as the heat peaks. People find their corners of shade, their cups of cool water, and their moments of rest. You lean your head back against the rough bark of the tree and close your eyes. Even through your closed lids, you can feel the presence of the kohl, a comforting weight that reminds you of the care you took this morning. You are at peace. The desert is vast, the sun is fierce, and the river is eternal, but you have your place within it all. You are a child of the Nile, a person of the light, forever framed in the dark, elegant lines of history. The long journey of the morning has finally settled into the quiet pulse of the afternoon. As we leave the sun-drenched streets of the Nile Valley and return to the stillness of the present moment, I hope you feel the same sense of order and calm that the ancient Egyptians found in their slow, daily rituals. The world outside may be loud and fast, but here, in the whisper of history, there is always time to move slowly, to breathe deeply, and to find beauty in the most monotonous of tasks. Let the image of the golden sun and the cool, dark kohl linger in your mind. Feel the weight of your own blankets, as soft and familiar as the linen sheets of a pharaoh. Let your breathing slow down even further now, matching the steady, eternal flow of the great river. There is no rush to wake, no deadline to meet, and no noise that can reach you here. You have built your own shield for the night, a barrier of peace and stillness that will protect your rest. The desert is quiet now. The palm trees are still. The gods are watching over the silence. As you drift closer to the edge of sleep, remember that you are part of a long, beautiful line of dreamers who have watched the same stars and felt the same evening breeze. You are safe. You are at rest. The stories of the past are now just a gentle hum in the background of your dreams. Thank you for spending this long, quiet morning in Egypt with me. I hope the rhythm of the grinding stone and the glow of the bronze mirror have brought you the rest you deserve. Sleep deeply now, cradled by the warmth of history and the soft shadows of the night.